أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد سلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. As we discussed last night about traveling, if a person wishes to travel in the month of Ramadan as he is fasting, he can travel in the afternoon. That means he can travel after the time of Dhuhr. So if you wish to go, say, from here abroad or to any part beyond London like Bradford or Leeds or wherever, Birmingham, if you travel after Namaz al-Dhuhr's time, that means after Dhuhr has set in, then the fast of that day is correct and valid and you don't need to break the fast. In fact, according to all the mujtahideen, it is wajib to continue with that fast and complete it because it is a correct fast. But if we travel before Dhuhr, for any reason, maybe it is very urgent and one has to travel before Dhuhr, then he cannot keep a fast on that day. But as I warned yesterday, he cannot break the fast early in the morning while he is still at home. He will break the fast when he has crossed that boundary, which I said, when he is beyond the city of London, for example, and he has crossed that boundary up to, say, 14 miles, then he can break the fast. Not from home. For those who live, say, in London, the traveling does not start from home. The traveling starts from Hadde Tarakhus, that means that boundary. Similarly, if you are not staying, say, in Birmingham for 10 days, if you are staying there for less than 10 days, you will not fast. But if you are staying there for 10 days or more, then you will fast, wherever you go. Now, example. I traveled today in the afternoon from here to, say, Peterborough. I kept my fast because I traveled after Dhuhr. And I slept in Peterborough. Early in the morning, after Namaz al-Subh, I left Peterborough for London, coming home again. Technically, I am allowed to break the fast because I am still a traveler. If I broke the fast, there is no guna, there is a qada. Because I am a traveler and I am traveling before Dhuhr. And the traveling process is still constant because I am in Peterborough. I am returning home, but I am returning home in the process of traveling. I can break my fast, say 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at home there. I was a guest, I am a traveler. I took a cup of tea, that's all. Naturally, within 1 hour, 1.5 I came back to London. On that day, I am not fasting because I had already broken my fast while I was still traveling. But there is an alternative. Having known that I will reach London before Dhuhr, I did not break my fast. I cannot do the niyat of fasting because I am still a traveler. But I did not do anything which will break the fast. The moment I reached home, London, as I see London, I make a niyat that I am fasting today and that fast will be valid and correct, provided I reach back before. If I reach home, say from England or from India or from wherever, I come back home after Dhuhr, then there is no fast. If I come back before Dhuhr, I will make a niyat here and then I'll fast. Now, this is important also. Suppose I went to Peterborough and I made a niyat that I will stay there for 10 days. I will be there for 10 days. And then I decided from Peterborough to travel further up after 4 days to Leicester or to northwards. I made a niyyah that I'll be in Peterborough for 10 days, but I lived there for only 4 days, and then I traveled upward for 1 day, and I came back to Peterborough. The chain has broken. Remember, the chain has broken. After returning to Peterborough, if I'm not going to stay there for 10 days, I will not be fasting. And a living example is this. Suppose I went to Najaf Ashraf, and I said, inshallah, I will fast here because I want to live and stay with Imam Ali alayhi salam's haram for 10 days. And I started fasting because I'm living there and I'm going to stay there for 10 days. After 5 days, it came to me that this is Thursday, let me go to Karbala. And I'll come back by night. And I went to Karbala, and when I come back, and now I've got only 5 days left for Najaf, those 5 days are not enough for fasting because I have broken the continuity. When you break the continuity, then the balance must also be 10 days. If the balance is not 10 days, you can't fast. This is very important because many people think that I have already made an original niyat. Now, if you break, then of course after the break, there must be further 10 days. If it is less than 10 days, then you will not fast. Those people who travel only because they don't want to fast, to avoid fasting. For them, to travel is makruh, not haram. Traveling for the sake of avoiding a fast in the month of Ramadan or any is not haram, but it is makruh. In fact, it is makruh to travel in the month of Ramadan up to 24th. Except for Hajj. That means if a man wants to go for Hajj from Mahr Ramadan and be there up to Hajj, or if a person goes for Umrah Mufrada in the month of Ramadan, then it is not makruh. Otherwise, traveling up to 24th for any reason whatsoever is makruh. But running away from fast, makruh, not haram, because there is a qada afterwards. People sometimes do this in the summer, where the fasting is for about 19 to 20 hours. They run away and then they say, we'll repay back when winter sets in. Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa-salamu alayhi has spoken about this also. That people do this because winter and summer was there in Arabia also. And he said, as-sawmu fi shata ghanimatun barida. Fasting in winter is mal ghanimat, is a profit, barida, which you earn without a war. Sometimes you earn the spoils, ghanima, without a war, without a struggle. In any case, at the moment we are in the season of ghanimatun barida. Alhamdulillah, Allah may accept it. Because Mu'mineen have kept fast for 19 and a half hours also. And now they are keeping for lesser hours, and in the years to come it will be still lesser. It is in His hands to, inshallah, accept it as long as we are alive, inshallah ta'ala. Coming to our subject, which now definitely goes into a bit deeper water, but I will always try to control so that we don't get what they call indigestion. And things may not be misunderstood. And I always try to make it as simple as possible to comprehend. But sometimes there cannot be any simplicity. As I said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abu Dharr Ghifari that as long as a man's reason and intelligence and intellect is safe, intact, not overpowered by other things, he will always plan his life. I said this and then I left it at that. Al-aqilu alladhi lam yughlab ala aqlih. That was the word the Prophet used. An aqil, an understanding man, an intelligent man whose reason has not been overpowered. Overpowered by what? This is tamheed. This is the beginning and a preface and preamble to what we will go to later. How is my intelligence or intellect or aql as we call it, or reason, overpowered? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created us as human beings, He gave us all the passions and emotions, likes and dislikes. He gave all the power to us, and He gave us reason and intelligence, which controls all these things and keeps this in mind. It's just like a motor car. It has all the accessories, all the parts, but there is a brake there. A brake which you have to apply when you should apply. It's dangerous to drive a car without a brake. Do you know that? You don't need to be told. Because you don't know when to stop. And when you want to stop, you cannot stop. So a man who has no aql is just like is a car which has got no brake. It just goes on. Now when that aql is overpowered, first and foremost it is overpowered by Allah. That means it is subdued. It is there, but it is suppressed. By what? By very long dreams and fanciful hopes, which is called tulul amal. Al-amal in this is not ayn but alif. Ayn is amal, means acting. Alif amal means long hopes, ambitions after ambitions, dreams after dreams. Mawla says, Ya man bi dunyahu ishtaghal qad gharrahu tulul amal. O one who is engrossed in this world, engrossed, gone head over heels, talks nothing but about this world, about earning, about happiness here. قَدْ غَرَّهُ طُولُ الْأَمَلِ. He has been misdirected and misled by very long hopes, planning, dreams after dreams. الْمَوْتُ يَأْتِي بَغْتَةً وَالْقَبْرُ صَنْدُوقُ الْعَمَلِ. And then death comes all of a sudden, and your grave is going to be the chest of your deeds. When we were young, we remember, there was one lesson in Gujarati which is called Sheikh Challi. I don't know. You see, Sheikh Challi. There was one sheikh whose name was Challi. He was a beggar. And he used to maintain himself by getting some jobs here and there. One day, a businessman told him to lift his jar full of ghee and said, come on, this was the mode of transport. Carry it and I'll pay you for it. So he took that jar of ghee and kept on his head. As he moved, now he started imagining, this set will give me how much? I will ask for 2 rupees. If he says 1, I will say no. Now he starts. This is how it is imagining. Exactly what we do, but slightly different. And when he gives me 2 rupees, I will buy 2 birds. Right. And when the 2 birds will start producing chickens, gradually I will have a poultry farm. Now he is building a poultry farm. And when there are enough birds in the poultry farm, then I'll sell them off and buy small cattle, sheep and goats, so that they produce fast. And then gradually when they are there in good number, I'll buy big cattle like cow and buffaloes and things like that. I'll sell the milk and gradually I'll become a millionaire. He's still walking with the jar on his head. And then I will marry in a very wealthy family. And then I will have children. And one day when I'm sitting on a couch and my wife stands before me and says that meal is served, I will say no. And the moment in his imagination as he said no, the jar fell on the ground. When the jar fell on the ground, of course it broke into pieces and the ghee was spilt. So that man caught him by the hand and said, what have you done? Now in Gujarati what is said cannot be translated into English. So I will say first in Gujarati for those who can understand. He said, Sahib, aapno to ghee no gadwo bhangyo, maru ghar bhangyo. He You see, as far as you are concerned, it is only the jar of ghee which is broken. As far as I am concerned, the whole home is broken. I say, I was building a home. Huh? So, when you are in a fanciful flight of imagination, this will happen and this will happen and this will happen. Allahu Akbar. We, when we were trained as speakers in Mombasa, when our elders used to train us how to speak, so we used to stand before the mirror and say, and then imagine how people will be sitting and then talk and all that. When we came really to the place where we were supposed to speak, it was all different. So the world of imagination is different from the world of reality. Remember this. There was a man who lost his camel. Now he wanted to say in Namaz al-Jummah that, oh gentlemen, have you seen my camel? He had never spoken in public. So at home he started thinking, there will be public there. I will say, salam, salam, kisi ne mera oont dekha hai. He went on repeating, salam, salam. Has anybody seen my camel? And when he came actually to Namaz al-Jummah, he said, oont, oont, kisi ne mera salam dekha hai. Camel, camel, has somebody seen my salam? This is how it happens. It happened to me, it happens to you, it happens to any speaker. Because the world of imagination is different and the world of reality is different altogether. Now, a young man, we have passed through days, but I see so many young faces. They are dreaming. And if they don't leave the habit of dreaming from now, when they reach my age, they will become rigid daydreamers. Nothing else but daydreaming. And that long hope, and that is where intelligence and intellect is marred. Remember this. Because the Prophet said, you base your planning on facts and not on fancy. How? The answer to this fanciful thinking and imagining is namaz. I wish we understood it. You know, when I stand and say Allahu Akbar, that means Allah is greatest of all. That means all the planning and imagination is now subject to Him. And Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Blessing in Allah has given to us that there is a namaz, and Surah Al-Fatiha is the heart of Quran. It answers all the questions, and it is an answer to the situation where we go on and on thinking, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise to Him, the Lord of the worlds, who has given to me whatever I have. That is it. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, by His endless mercy, here and hereafter. Maliki Yawmiddin, He is the master on the day of judgment and reckoning. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. Only you we worship, and from you alone we seek help. That means whatever you plan, whatever you think of, it has got to be with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an answer. If I am conscious of what I say there, and if I understood what namaz was, then I go to ruku' and sajda. It is an act by which I say, or rather assert and confirm that everything of my present and the future is submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When there is submission to Allah, then there is no fanciful imagination. Then whatever we do is connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if you are learning today so that tomorrow Allah may give you good rizq, remember with the actual word, I educate my son or my daughter so that tomorrow, inshallah, when they grow up and are independent in society, inshallah, they will earn their livelihood. That is one. And apart from that, just beside that, there is one who says, I educate because I am going to make my children independent. I have planned this because this is the way they should be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, for tomorrow don't say I will do this tomorrow, except with insha'Allah. Don't say I will do this tomorrow. If you want to say that, say insha'Allah genuine, not Iranian insha'Allah. Insha'Allah genuine, that means when you really want it. We have a habit now of saying inshallah when we don't want to do anything. If somebody says, will you come tomorrow to my house? We say, inshallah, that means I want. Will you please do this job for me? I say, inshallah, that means forget about it. But if it is inshallah, means if Allah wills, that means I am not, even if I want to tell you tomorrow I'm going to say this, I'll say, tomorrow I'll say this, inshallah. I'm going to meet you tomorrow, inshallah. We'll meet here in namaz, inshallah. So when we are not allowed for that, to say anything without inshallah, if Allah wills, because it all depends upon it. So whenever you plan on reality and don't plan on fancy. Otherwise, you don't allow your intellect to develop. And once you are in it, then you are just like a fly. Have you seen a fly? A fly, if you have a bowl full of honey, the fly sits on that first. What does it do first? It extends its feelers first to see how sweet it is and what is the taste. It is sweet. Naturally, honey is sweet. So you'll find first it proceeds with 2, and then with further 2, and then with further 2 legs, till it is totally in it, dies in it. There's no satisfaction because it's go on thinking and thinking. Sometimes if you come with me to India, I will show you the farm of silkworms. Silkworms, beautiful silkworms. There's a worm which spins silk around it. Beautiful silk. Silk that you wear is from that worm. It is its saliva. As it throws, it spins around itself. While it is spinning around itself, it makes sure that she is alive, and there is one small hole from which it gets air. And it is just like a small sack of silk. But finally, it forgets. And in doing that, it also seals its own mouth, and it dies. That means the sack of silk becomes grave for that worm. We do the same thing. We are going on, spinning around us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you want your aql to be there, and if you want to earn the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, resign to His will and delegate it to Him, not to yourselves. When we learn that, then the Prophet said, Ya Abadar, every day must be planned. Every day. Now, I will finish with just what he said. We'll go tomorrow into details. Inshallah. He says, Ya Abadar, O Allah, a day of an intelligent person is divided into 4 parts. One part is for his halal needs and requirements. Business, earning, family, home life, one part. One part of it is for munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means ibadah. One part of it is for thinking about this creation and acquiring knowledge. And one part is when he retires at night to take his own account as to what he has done in this day. فَسَاعَةٌ يُنَاجِي رَبَّهُ وَسَاعَةٌ يَخْلُو لِلْحَلَالِ وَسَاعَةٌ يُحَاسِبْ نَفْسَهُ وَسَاعَةٌ يَنْظُرُ فِي صُنْعِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. A part of it is for thinking in this creation, for obtaining and acquiring more and more knowledge. A part of it is for, of course, halal requirements. A part of it is for ibadat, and a part of it at the end is for taking account of one's own day. What did I get today and what did I lose? Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.